So, guys, welcome back to another show, another episode of Zero Day. I'm your host NJ, and today our guest is Harsh Bhothra. He's a full-time security engineer and a bug bounty hunter. He currently holds top 150 rank in bug crowd and recently declared MVP for quarter one from bug crowd, right? And besides that, he is a blogger, poet, and the list goes long. So let's invite him and start today's show. Hello,
Hi,
Harsh.
hi
How are
everyone.
you?
Can you hear? I'm good. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, that's cool. How are you? How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you? Fine.
Yeah, that's great, really.
So, Harsh, let's start today's session then.
Yeah, sure.
So, before starting, can you tell us that what is your background? What do you do?
Okay, so going briefly about my background, I currently work as a security engineer, application security engineer to be very much specific. And in my part time, I just usually, do the bug bounty stuff, just learning like you all do, and hitting the
Yeah.
targets, looking up for new research ideas and what we can do. And I like hold a quite technical background. Like I have done my BTech in computer science, but to be very frank and honest, it doesn't help in hacking at all. So it's something that you have to start by your own and do things like that. So roughly it's been like 4 to 5 years I am into domain of cybersecurity, but specifically into bug bounties it's been like roughly 5 months of doing it, like since last Feb mid this 2020.
And you got on the top in this
Yeah.
5 months only. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
pretty. Yeah,
specifically
that's
the month
pretty
of May.
amazing. Okay,
Yeah.
so as speaking of cybersecurity, where did you got to know about this field? Where do you got the interest?
So it's kind of yet another story. So like I was never aware of the internet till my ninth standard. Like I belong to a kind of remote area, and then when I went out for my studies, I exposed to this internet stuff, and I used to play a lot of games. The game hacking stuff. How can we, just hack things up? How can we apply some cheat codes in some Counter Strike and some Call of Duty games? And then that's where I just came across this term hacking, and it just took all my interest. I started doing all the research on it. It was like starting of my 10th standard back in 2012 and like early start of 2013. I just started into what all the areas of hacking are. Initially we used to make those small VB script viruses, and the systems used
Yeah.
to go like shut down and things like that happen, and we were used to like, oh, we are hacking like things really greatly. So then I just came across like more stuff into penetration testing, and then this thing gets started by that way. It's just like, out of curiosity, it happened like, what does this hacking thing do? With computers, I always had a great interest, but, internet was a very new thing for me in my early 10th standard. So yeah, that's where like I actually started into this thing.
Okay. So yeah, that's quite interesting. So now, like you are doing a job as a security engineer, what it is like to be a security engineer? Can you tell our audience?
So, being a security engineer or application security engineer is really a responsible job, right? So, when you start into this cybersecurity domain, specifically into offensive security, you not always start with the security engineer or something. You always start with some junior positions where the responsibility are very less. You just do a pen test and that's it. That's where your responsibility ends up. Now, when you move up to the security engineer position, then it's not just about how much pen testing you are doing, how much vulnerabilities you are finding, but how effectively you can, communicate with your clients and tell them that how to remediate something, how much effective you are into writing a report, how much effective you are into, defining the impact. And defining the impact as per the organization is the really, the crucial part of being a security engineer at all. Like you should know that what exactly a attacker can do. I can write lines of stories about like attacker can do this, attacker can do that, but when you do a job you have to be very much specific that according to this situation we can do exactly this thing. So you need to be very much professional into writing reports or defining this like this impact and everything. You need to be very much specific about everything in that thing. So yeah, it's pretty much responsible and fun at the same time, because you need, you get to interact with your clients, you get to write a lot of reports, and you like get to explore new areas of pen testing. Like sometimes you do API, sometimes you do mobile, sometimes networks, web, like everything. So it's pretty much exciting and yet responsible as well.
So it is, constant learning and facing new challenges every day.
Yeah, exactly. So the more you grow towards, the higher position, the more challenges and the more learning you have to focus upon, because then there are your juniors who depend upon you, who will ask you questions, or who are gonna, poke you for like any doubts, and you have to be very much patient with them and tell them like, okay, this is why we are not considering this as a security issue, but that as a security issue. So this thing you will
Okay.
face a lot. Yeah.
Okay. So many of our viewers want to know that what tools you use. What is the basic environment you have to set up on a machine before starting
Okay.
in
So,
this
yeah.
bug bounty and
Yeah. So,
penetration testing?
like if I talk about like bug bounty or like anything like related to AppSec specifically, I'm like focusing on web application. If I say so, Burp Suite is something that you really need, and everybody knows that Burp Suite is something that we need. So I use Burp Suite Pro version, and the Pro has like a lot of features that you need. Like the main thing I like the most is you can save the projects. Whatever you're hunting on, you can save them and you can keep them safe. So if I am visiting same application, like after 10 months, I can see what I tested so far and what I haven't. So it helps a lot. Then you have the collaborator options, and then you can, use almost all the Burp Pro extension with the Pro version. And there are a lot of features like intruder, different option you can use with the Pro, which are not available in the free version.
Hmm.
Apart from that, when it comes to the reconnaissance, there are several tools like Osmedius. Then there is a recently launched tools, Nuclei, which is really good. And what it does is it takes some signatures, and it takes some templates. Like for example, you found a vulnerability and you think that you can, find it everywhere, like at multiple application, multiple places. You can write your own template for that vulnerability, and you can automate stuff for, all the domains and application, which might be vulnerable. So this make things really much interesting. And when it comes to reconnaissance, the more you be specific what you are looking for, the more details you are gonna get about it.
Okay.
So
So while
apart from that, when it comes to exploitation, we use Metasploit, but it's usually not that much good for the web application, if I say, because
yeah.
it's mostly great tool when it comes to local networks and things like that. If just you have the burp suit right with you, you can almost do everything with the burp suit. Nothing else is needed. You can write your own plugins for that. You can define your custom rule set for that. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
So do you rely more on tools or manual testing?
So my workflow is more of a combination, you can say a hybrid workflow of both. So I automate my complete reconnaissance process, except for a few things like GitHub docking and the Google docking thing. Except for everything like from subdomain enumeration to automating the vulnerability scanning, I automate my recon completely over a Google Cloud or a DigitalOcean Cloud VPS. So it just keeps on running, and whenever I get a hit, I get a notification and I see, okay, I found something, and let's just see if it's a valid or not. Now, when I directly open an application for, say, if I'm testing Facebook.com or Google.com, right? So at that time, I just focus upon burp suit and use manual testing tactics, because see, you cannot find like a good severity vulnerability just doing the automation scanning or automated tools. I feel like automated scanners are just kind of an ally whenever we do testing. So it's kind of a mixture of both. So depends upon the application and scope. Specifically when it's a like huge scope application, like we have like a lot of subdomains. So I just keep on my VPS running, and at the same time I just like test the application one by one, using like all of the subdomains with the burp suite and some of the tools like proxy tools and the other directory brute forcing tools that we need usually. But manual is something that you will always need.
Okay, so you talked about Recon, right? So how much important and essential is Recon for bug bounty or simple penetration testing?
So I will just like sum this question in like a single shot, which is like if you really want to stay ahead of your competition, and like right now the bug bounty is very much congested and complicated because there are a hell lot of people into that. So Recon is something that is gonna get you the way and gonna keep you away from your competition, because see, there are possibilities that you found an asset doing your Recon which other people are not able to find because they are not doing it that way that you are doing. So Recon is something that is
Right.
always gonna keep you on a top side.
Okay. Okay. So you became, in MVP for Q1 2020 by background, right? So how was the journey? What things you think that helped you during this 5 months and put you there?
Okay, so like I am, I have always been lazy about starting into bug bounty because this has never been a goal to me to, just start into bug bounty and jump into something like this. So in Feb, like all of a sudden I started, and we all start with, getting a lot of duplicates, because what we do as a security engineer is something different than what we do in bug bounty hunting. In bug
Right.
bounty hunting, we need to exploit till the last extent, which sometimes we do not need in our job, because client just want to see that okay, this is there, this might be there. We report that as well. But when it comes to bug bounty, you have to be very much specific, impactful, and exploit everything that we are reporting. So initial days were like very much off and on and off. Like then in April, like I just started focusing on upon okay, okay, now I know that what kind of bugs companies are accepting in the bug bounty programs, what kind of vulnerabilities they're expecting actually to be submitted. So I changed my approach, like I changed my total recon workflow, and like I focused upon finding the assets which other people might not be doing, or like a very few people are doing. And I like spent like around 10 to 15 days, and I took like around 2 to 3 programs only, and like went for an experiment with that. And to my like own surprise, like in the month of May, I reported like around 80 to 90 vulnerabilities. Like most of them were accepted as a valid or won't fix, because some issues like rate limit or session, the company might not want to fix it. But again, like in month of May, from like only 2 programs, I like just got around 1,000 points, and that like all the asset that I found was because of Reconnaissance. And the MVP thing, if we say that that requires you to be top 80 percentile into the P1 and P2 bugs. So when
Okay.
I started, I could see, okay, like finding people into bug bounty program are gonna be really hard and really tough. But later I realized things are not that, so the critical bugs are really easy to exploit, because that's where they are critical, right? Because if you see at the CVSS score, like if some attack is really complicated, it's gonna be not critical. The severity will go down, right? It's just like the finding the P1 or critical bugs might go a little tricky. The exploitation will be really easy comparatively to the low hanging fruits. They will be really much like very much realistic. So
Okay.
then like with this month of May, with these 2 programs, like I reported like around 10 to 12 P1s and a lot of P2s and P3s, which increase my overall severity percentiles on the bug crowd. And then that's where like I end up being as an MVP for that.
Oh, congratulations for that.
Thanks.
Okay, so you talked about like critical P1s, P2s, right? So for our audience, can you explain us what is this categories that we segregate bugs in?
Okay, so when we specifically talk about the P1 or P2, these are like the any bug could be like a critical or high impact bug. The P1 and P2, P1 stands for critical and P2 is high severity. The thing is, we have to look what is the impact upon confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So, for example, you are finding an admin panel which is having a default credentials, admin or admin password, and you can now log into that admin portal. You can do anything that an admin could do. So what is the impact over here? If we see, we can see like all the sensitive information that impacts the confidentiality, right? I can delete like users, or I can delete some information, modify some information that impacts my integrity. Now I can like cause some trouble, or if there is some option which is gonna like create some user or delete some users, and if I delete like all of the users, Now, this is not accessible to anybody who was there in the portal before. So that impacts the availability. So if we see in this scenario, all three factors are getting affected, right? What was the complexity? Like I just had to guess the password. The complexity was very low over here. Like complexity was like just putting admin or admin password over there. So the complexity was low. Attack vector was like remote, and then we have complete impact on CIA. No, this makes your bug a critical bug. Right. Now, at the
Okay.
same time, if the access complexity goes to medium, like you need to, brute force the credentials, or you need to, perform some kind of man in the middle or kind of some social engineering to get into that admin portal. Now, access complexity become medium, right? So the severity will come to high instead of being critical, right? Because the likelihood of exploitation is not as severe as it was before. Right. So
Okay.
this is how, first of all, we define the high critical or medium severity bugs upon their impact and how much complicated it is to access them or to exploit them. Right.
And
Now, there are
yeah.
some specific categories of bugs like SQL injection or the credential exposure. Now, it is not always true that a SQL injection will always end up into a critical bug, right? It depends upon what impact a SQL injection is putting. Do you just, scan the database version or something, or can you just actually exfiltrate some data out of it? So that depends
Okay.
upon that. Yeah. Even a simple recently we reported a bug. So I and one of my friends. So there was like insecure cookies, there were an XSS, there was some pre-escalation, and we made like chained all three bugs together and made it to a P1 bug because we were able to steal a admin's credential using XSS, and then from a normal user we were able to do pre-escalation to that admin account. So that was kind of a chaining scenario. Now the
Yeah.
low-hanging P4, P3 bugs can be converted to critical bugs in those scenarios.
Okay, you talked about chaining. So how important is chaining after you find a bug and how you do it?
Okay, so what I feel is chaining is the most important thing to increase the impact and severity of any bug and maximize the payouts. So for example, if we are talking about cross-site scripting, right? So most of the people, what they say is cross-site scripting is used to steal an admin cookie or session cookies or something. Now, what do you think that what are the scenarios where I can steal the cookies? This one question I always ask to people, like if we say that we can steal the cookies, now why don't we steal the cookie in the real time and like say the impact, right? Now to steal a cookie, you need the cookies to be insecure. You need them to be not having HTTP only or a secure flag set so that you can steal them over using an XSS. So as soon as I find like an cross-site scripting, what I do next is I go and check the cookies if they are secure or not. If they're insecure, I actually create two accounts and then I exploit the XSS to steal second account's cookie. Then I show the program owner that see now I can actually log in to the second account. Right. So this is complete account takeover, or you can say that a complete session hijacking in a real time. Now, initially my access was for say P3 or P2. Now it goes to P1, or if it's P3, sometimes goes to P2. Right. So these are the
Okay.
scenarios. Yeah.
So you are saying it is necessary to tell them that how impactful it is after finding a
Yeah.
vulnerability that will
See,
increase the chances.
yeah. So what I feel always is, see, if they are paying you or if they are running programs, they also have a security team. It's just like they want it to be tested from a huge audience, right? They don't want it to be just limited to their own environment because everybody has got their own unique skill set. So
Right.
whenever you're testing an application, it's your responsibility actually. It's not just like you are seeking some money out of somebody. It's your responsibility to tell them what exactly the impact is, what exactly the remediations are. If you are not sure, go Google about it, that how you can remediate an issue, but tell them that, yeah, this is the possibility, this is the probability, and this is the extent where you can exploit the issues. For example, you are finding an IDOR, right? You can actually do a lot of things with IDOR. Like, for example, I recently reported a bug where we did IDOR to accesses to stealing data and then pre-escalation. It was like a small IDOR which allowed me to, send messages to the private accounts, which I was not allowed, right? The message functionality was having an accesses. We can chain it, right? It's pretty clear that I can use that IDOR, which allows me to send message to private accounts, and then I can use that IDOR to send the XSS payload in the message and the cookies were insecure, I can steal the cookies and it just give me the access to their account, private accounts. It automatically goes to P1 issues.
Okay, so you're talking about IDORs. Can you tell us the brief? What is IDOR? Those who don't know.
Okay, so IDORs are, you can simply say that you are requesting for a resource, which is, for example, like say there are two accounts, account A and account B. You have the control over the resources of account B, right? There is a
Yeah.
parameter for, say, address ID equals to 3, which is address ID for your account's address, right? Now there
Okay.
is an account B which is having an address ID of, say, 15, right? So what if I
Yeah.
temper the address ID 3 to address ID 15? And if it's load me the address of account B, it's actually the IDOR issue, the access control issue. So in the layman terms, I am requesting the resources which are not under my control or which are not under my access. And if the application or the systems give me the response for those credential, it's an access control or an IDOR issues. Basically, it's like a function level security issue where there are like some several checks are missing. So we call them access control list, which has to be implemented over each and every resource which are not accessible to the public, which are not accessible to the unauthorized person. So there should be some particular checks implemented over there, and that's the biggest cause of having an IDOR or access control. That most of the time people or the developers forget to implement the access control list and checks to every single endpoint. They just put it to some central endpoint and then they do not validate the rest of them.
Okay. Okay. Talking about accounts, have you done any recently account takeovers?
Yeah.
Okay. So, can you give any example that you did recently?
Okay. Okay, so I will give you two of the example. Okay, so one is with the CSRF. I have also written a blog about it. So my target was having a functionality where you can change the password, but it was not asking for the confirm password parameter, right?
Okay.
It was just asking me to have the, enter the password and it will just change, right? Now the edit profile also had the CSRF vulnerability. So they had the CSRF token implemented in the post request, but I changed the request to get request and it was accepting without the CSRF token. Now I
Okay.
changed the now I changed this password reset function, the password changing functionality to my CSRF. I send it to the victim and I can, now change its password, right? Now, once I change its password, I can simply log into his account and that's it.
Oh,
And
that's pretty good. Yeah.
yeah. So the second scenario is the password reset poisoning. Now, what the password reset poisoning is, for example, you are requesting password for your account. You will receive a password reset link. This is what usually happen, right? And when you click the password reset link, it will send you to a page, and then you will get an option like email and the new password, everything, right?
Yeah.
Now, what if I change the email which is present in the URL to the victim email, and if it changes the password for the victim, right?
Okay.
Or what if I request for the password reset token for myself? There was some this user ID parameter going on in the password reset field using password reset token. So I changed the user ID parameter to my victim and it just changed the password for it. It was like really a 10-minute game, but you need to understand that if it's happening or not, you have to figure it out. Right. So finding the critical bugs or account takeovers or any issues takes you to figure out that it's an issue, and exploiting them would be
Okay.
really easy after. Yeah.
Sure. So, can you give us any, tips or tricks to get easy P1s?
Okay, so when you talk about the P1s or P2 or like at least some good quality of bugs,
Yeah.
it's like observation. Observation and reconnaissance is gonna keep you ahead of the competition and gonna give you the bugs. So always try to look for the web UIs or the portals which look already somewhat old to you. So what I usually do is I see the copyright information beneath the web applications whenever I discover some new asset using
Yeah.
Recon. So if I see the copyright says 2005, 2010, right? So it gives me like kind of an imagination that okay, they are not updating the copyright version to the latest like 2020 or 2018. It might be possible the technology and the implementation that they are using are old and obsolete, right? So 90% of the time where I find like basic cross-site scripting, like simple script alert one or simple CSRF attacks, these are the old website itself. You need to have a good visual recon skills for that, and like you need to identify okay, this endpoint might be vulnerable to this because it looks like old implementation of this particular endpoint. And then you go to the GitHub, you recon the GitHub for the secrets and the credential. There you get a lot of P1s because a lot of people, report that I got an AWS key, I got an GitHub token or something like that, NPM tokens. Then also you can go to Shodan and you can look for the specific for say Spring Boots. This fave icon thing was recently booming on the Twitter. So similarly,
Yeah.
you can look for the vulnerable softwares. You can search by their fave icon, or just simply search them with your target organization and see if that particular version is actually vulnerable, and you can try to reproduce that. For example, you found like this recently this CV of big IP, right, which was a simple LFI plus RC CV. So what people did was like they simply went to Shodan, they searched if their target was vulnerable, and they exactly replicated the payload that was present in this POC of big IP, and they all got like, although they got duplicates, but they got P1s and like high critical bugs with that. So
Okay.
finding the high bugs just need a lookout. You need to be observant, and you need to look each and every functionality as an attacker perspective. You need to map the assets. Like for example, if I'm pen testing an e-commerce website, right? What are the assets? What things can I do? I can do parameter tampering, and those all are the basic stuff. Now, if it would be me, what I will do is I will first go and check the review functionality. So if you go to Flipkart or Amazon, you see that the people who have purchased the product and review, it says that verified reviewer, right? And it gives a sense to the audience and the people that okay, like 100 people who have actually purchased this product are saying that this is a good or bad product. It means that it might be good or bad product, right? Now, what if an attacker can post a review without purchasing a product as a verified reviewer? Like I post like
Okay.
1,000 reviews as a verified reviewer, right? I can post bad negative reviews, or I can post really good reviews. Right now, it gives a business logic issue to the application. It gives a false, information to the audience of the application that this product is really good or bad or something like that.
Right.
So
Right. Right.
that's where you think and come up with the business logic specific attacks, which are always, gonna keep you one step ahead of your competition.
Okay. So yeah. Okay. So let's talk about what are your platforms. What platforms you prefer? Like only Bugcrowd, or you also do hacking on HackerOne or some other platform?
So, to be very honest about this, so right now I'm just hunting on this bug crowd, and lately I've been facing a lot of VPN issues with Synack. So, yeah, like looking forward, once I move back to Pune, I will be hunting on Synack as well. So, like doing a full-time job, you really, get a very less time to do bug bounty and other stuff. So, it's for me, it's like roughly 20 hours a week that I get, like including Saturdays and Sundays, because it's just like I have like a lot of good programs on one platform. Let's just stick with it right now for a time being. And when I'm like out of the programs, and if I'm not finding a vulnerability into some backward programs, private programs, I go to Integrity sometimes. I go to HackerOne sometimes, but like 99% of the time, it's backward only.
Okay, so you prefer Bugcrowd, right? And any personal favorite program that has given you and that has been most rewarding to you?
Yeah, so in terms of public programs, the Comcast Xfinity is the most rewarding program. I reported the two vulnerabilities actually to there. this VDP program, right? And they were really good company, and they actually tried, and they said to me that report it to the rewarding program. We will consider it as a reward, reward finding. So the finding was not disclosed, and it was some, thing which we cannot disclose because that was an agreement between the company and me. And they asked me to move the bug to VDP to the Comcast paying program, and then they paid for it. So this is rarely happens. Like usually, company do not want to pay for your findings. They want to save the money. But in terms of public program, I had like very good experience with this particular program. And there was one private program which I cannot actually reveal, being a private program, right? So I have like like around 600 points into that single program only. And yeah, it was one of the rewarding program, and it was really good. Like most of my P2 findings and P1 findings are to that program only.
Okay. So yeah, so let's move on to the questions from our audience. Okay. So the
Okay.
first question is from Hitendra underscore 70. He asks,
Okay.
why it is mandatory to learn Network Plus and CCNA before learning cybersecurity? And the second part of question says, is it necessary to learn coding for cybersecurity or hacking?
Okay, so picking up the first thing, that it is required to know that you know about the networking protocols and networking basics, but no one says that you need to be having the CCNA or Network Plus certification, right? So
Right.
if you go deep down into the Network Plus and CCNA, they talk about the network administration part, they talk about the network configuration part, which is really you do not need to do into cybersecurity tactics, right?
Hmm.
So if you move towards the red team, sometimes you may need to look out for the network configuration, how the network and the firewalls are configured. But in the usual cybersecurity and bug bounty scenario, you need not to rely upon the network, how the networks are, how to configure the network, right? You just need to know how protocols work, like how ports, different ports, like for example, the SMB works, or how the HTTP, SSL works, HTTP work, FTP works, SMTP works, right? So you need to
Yeah.
know about those things. You need not to go about, okay, this is a router, this is a mesh, this is a hub, this is a repeater. Now, how can I use those components to form my own network? This is something that CCNA teach you, and this is something you need not to know about bug bounties. You need to be just knowing what the network ports and protocols are, what are the different network security mechanisms are. That's it, right? So you can actually pick up some specific portion of the CCNA or Network Plus, which talks about the basics of networking and then security in networks. That's it, right? Now, secondly, when it comes to the coding part, all I will say is, if you need to automate this stuff, right? If you need to write your own tools, you will need to have some programming knowledge at least, right?
Yeah.
Secondly, if you have good knowledge of SQL and JavaScript, it is gonna, help you a lot in client-side attacks. And SQL is obviously gonna help you in SQL injections. Then, if you know how to read a programming language, this is really necessary. Okay, even I do not code into like a lot of programming language, but I know that how to read, 10 different programming languages or 12 different programming languages, which give me, give me a sense, okay, if I found a source code disclosed of a Ruby application, I can find vulnerabilities in that, or I can see that how the code is working. So, knowing coding is always a plus, but it's not a hard code requirement. But what I will say is that you should at least know how to read the code. That's something you really need to focus upon, at how to read a code.
Okay. Yeah, that is necessary to how to read a code is, yeah.
Yeah,
So
like you need
second
to
question,
understand.
yeah. Yeah. So second question is from iMac underscore 18 underscore. So the question is, can Windows be used for hacking?
Yeah, Windows can be used for hacking. Absolutely, there is no limitation of any operating system. It's just use what you are comfortable with. So even like in my one of the machine, I use Windows. So what I do when I use Windows is I make sure that all the tools are available to me. So there is a package manager in Windows called Chocolatey. You can install Chocolatey, and then you can simply say choco install nmap, just like apt-get in Kali Linux or any other Linux operating system. You can install a lot of dependencies in Windows. Secondly, you can use the VPS, and you can SSH from your Windows machine to your
Yeah.
VPS, which is having Linux, and you can do parallel things. third thing that you can do is there is something called Linux subsystem for Windows,
Yeah,
in which you can actually install the Linux into the
shell.
Windows
Yeah.
and you can run it parallelly. So there is no limitation at all of using any operating system. You can use Mac, you can use Android, you can use Windows, you can use any operating system like Linux, anything.
Yes, definitely, definitely. So these were the questions of audience. Hope you got your answers. Okay, so moving on, next topic, that is red team. So you are a Synack red
Yeah.
teamer, right? So
Yeah.
can you tell us what is responsibility of a Synack red teamer? And first, let's talk about what is a red team and what is a blue team.
Okay, so when I say red team, it's more of like an offensive side. Offensive side is not something like, you are committing a crime. It's like you are attacking to an application like an attacker, right? You
Yeah.
need to think totally like what are the possibilities of getting into someone's network, right? You be totally offensive. You do not have any limitations over there. And when it comes to blue team is a defensive side, right? So
Okay.
they look out the attacks which are happening on their network and they try to protect their network from the real life attacks. So giving an example is like the thing we do into bug bounty is actually your not red team, but it's an offensive side. And the thing that SOC people do, which blocks your IP, the Cloudflare, if you see that when you run scanners, it blocks you, it do not let you enter into the web application. So that's kind of a defensive side. The SOC field is totally defensive and red team is totally offensive side, for example.
Okay.
So when it comes to Synack Red Team, so Synack Red Team is not actually the red teaming. It's an platform, a private platform for bug bounty. It's same like as a bug crowd and hacker one, but having their own different features, which are like they have like a totally different system of uh, kind of they have their own scanners which scans the primary vulnerabilities for you. They have their own analytics features, so it's not kind of different from other bug bounty programs. It's just like it's a private. It takes you to clear their qualification, interviews, and everything to get and be a Synack Red team member. And you can say that you are a part of very much chosen and specific crowd. Like not any person is gonna go there. Like not a beginner is gonna go get there. You need to first get your resume selected. Then you need to clear the exam. You need to clear the interviews and background checks and everything. Like it's like 4 to 5 step process, and once you clear them all, then you become a Synack Red team member.
So suppose if I want to be a Synack red teamer, what steps or what should I follow? What things should I follow?
So, the first thing is they look at your resume. The first thing when you apply, you will like have to drop your resume and your basic details like your social profiles like LinkedIn and Twitter, and if you have any bug bounty experience, that is going to help you. So the thing is, you need to be very much specific that how much contribution you are giving to the community, what all the bug bounty experience you have, your Hall of Fames and everything. Based upon your experience, you will get your resume selected. If it gets selected, then the further rounds are happening, and then they have their own assessment, which is something I cannot reveal because this is a private assessment. And like even in the internet, you will not find anything regarding what their assessment questions are, right? So it's really fun assessment, I would say, and it's easy to crack. But the main thing is that you need to clear the resume selection process, which is I feel that is most complicated for people.
Okay. So like many of the viewers are asking that what is the salary expectation. So can you tell us what is the salary, the approximation of a Synack red teamer or a bug bounty hunter or a security engineer in general in India? Or
Okay, so when I talk about the bug bounty platforms like HackerOne, Backrod, Synack, that is something that they do not pay, salaries. The bug bounty is something that the how much unique and you are first person to report
sure.
those unique bugs, you are gonna get the bounty for that. Like you can get like $100,000 in a day, or you cannot, in a year, or like you can earn even $100 in a year. So that depends. It's more of like a freelancing. It's not defined. But when it comes to the jobs in India, so for the starting like junior security engineers or the beginners with no experience, the freshers, the salary range usually lies from 3.5 to 6 to 7 lakhs at max, and it increases as you go up towards the ladder. It's specifically for India because Indian market, the payouts for security jobs are really less. And the same time, if you go to out of India, the minimal salary would be 20, 15 lakhs at least.
Yeah. So in professional career in in market, do you think that certifications plays a role or are they important for a fresher?
So being a fresher, see, certification are always going to give an edge, specifically if it's an OSCP certification. CH 99% of the companies are now, they do not care about having a CH person in their team. CH is just like having nothing for them. It's a good for particular compliance, and some companies ask for CH. But when you move to the Europe and you move to the foreign countries, they very much rely upon having an OSCP certified professional. So, like it's not like the requirement of the company. The client asks that we want to have our application tested by an OSCP person. Like OSCP is kind of a standard these days. So, yeah, if you have the OSCP, you are gonna have an edge for that. But in India, it's
Okay.
okay to have things.
Okay. So yeah. So definitely, you have to be skilled enough before having a certificate, in my opinion.
Yeah, so the thing that mattered the most is like when even I applied, I didn't show any bug bounty experience to my company. I didn't have the OSCP certification. Even I do not have it now. So, but if you have skills, you can move up the ladder easily. You can, you need to prove your worth at the end of the day, that you are worthy of
Yeah.
something, right? Yeah.
So yeah. So enough with the technical stuff. Let's move on to the lighter side of the conversation. So what hacking shows or movies you like? Any specific
So
choice?
the specific thing is the Mr. Robot, right? That's really
Okay.
interesting. But for me, like when I am, into the fun side and things like that, I really don't want to again mess up my head into hacking, right? All of the time, if I will think about hacking, it's gonna someday totally burst out, and I'm gonna lose
Yeah.
the interest totally into that. So what I do is I like pick up some like sci-fi movies or movies that are mystery movies and something like that over the Netflix and the other platforms, and I watch them because you need your mind to be a little bit distracted and away from hacking.
Mm-hmm.
Every time if you do hacking, you will get a lot of burnouts.
So any series you watched recently?
Recently, I finished up a lot of series like Money Heist, Salvation. Then right now I'm watching Shadowhunters. It's quite good if you want to watch it. If you may have already, because
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
really not a regular watcher at all. I'm really
Okay.
not a regular watcher. I prefer to sleep when I'm free, which sometimes happens
We
that I'm
computer
free
people
and
don't get.
yeah, like today I like slept till 3 p.m. in the afternoon and I'm feeling like really charged right now.
Yeah.
And night is gonna be long for that.
Okay. So how you hack? Like any preference in music while hacking,
Oh,
or you
so
don't?
I have my own music playlist. It consists of Hindi, English, Punjabi, all of the songs mixed into some like 100, 200 different songs. I
Okay.
play them like on a random mode and I sing along. Like I have my own room, so I just sing along and I don't care what other people in my house are thinking of me, if I am gone mad or something. So like when I feel like stressed out, I just sing out loud and it's just like help me calm down and focus my concentration on that.
Okay, so do you go for like 17 hours straight for hacking or you go like little every day for a long time?
So for me, I like go in a one go. I don't like
Okay.
in parts. Taking a little breaks are necessary, like a food break or a drink break or something like that. That are necessary. But it's not like I'm opening up my laptop for 10 minutes or 1 hour and then I'm going to again open for after 1 hour or 2 hours. It's something not really my cup of tea. The reason being is like I know that what process I'm going through right now. I might lose my pace if I hold after 1 hour or 2 hours. I prefer to give at least like 3 to 4 hours straight and then take a like a drink break or a just like 10-minute break or just simply go to have some snacks or something and then again start where I left. Right. But I never do
Okay.
if I'm looking for a SQL injection, I will not leave it until if I find that or if I totally like okay now I'm not gonna find a SQL injection there. So once I conclude something, then I just take a break or move on.
So what things do you like, besides hacking when you are, having a free time? What do you do?
I
Any
do a lot of
hobbies?
things. Yeah, so I do a lot of things, to be honest. So I like to explore, I like to read, I write poetries, write some tales. Sometimes I do photography and read like anything like ancient culture, mythology, everything that that's interesting, fascinates. So yeah, I cook sometimes when I'm hungry, and my mom is like, I'm not gonna make you some food at some random time. So I just go to kitchen
Yeah,
and explore
and
and
we all have that 3 a.m. food craving that we have to
yeah.
fulfill. Yeah.
Exactly. Especially when just spend your time in hostel, these are the skills that you get actually, the cooking
Yes.
skills.
And family members don't understand that, why you need food at 3 a.m.
Yeah, even you actually wanna get some good words, really good, beautiful words from them. Waking up them at 3 and 4. Like I
Yeah.
don't prefer that. I just go and just look out the stuff for myself. Or sometimes I'm that lazy that if lights are off and the like it's totally like when you hack for a long time, you go mad. That's what I feel.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Harsh. I think that this session should be ended here. Thank you for coming today. Any social media platform to share you want to share
Yeah,
that they
so
can follow you?
so you can follow me on Twitter or like every social media. Just simply Google my name, and most likely you will end up into landing my profile. And it's mostly Harsh Bothra or Harsh Bothra underscore everywhere. Like on Instagram and Twitter, it's Harsh Bothra underscore, and on LinkedIn, it's Harsh Bothra. And like, just simply I
Yeah.
repeat my name.
So mostly you are active on Twitter, so they can contact you on Twitter definitely. Yeah, and you also write blogs, Medium blogs. So what is the
Yeah.
you can they can directly search Harsh Bothra on Medium, right?
Yeah, they can search, and also it's like H Bhotra double two for that medium document. If you go to
Oh,
my website harshbothra.com, you will find every information about me. There is everything, the links to every social media platforms and blog platforms, everything is there.
okay. So thank you, Harsh, for being here, for sharing the information with us. It was, it was a really nice session, really informative. I wanted to be here. I wanted you to be here for a long time now. Today was the day. And yeah, we really enjoyed the session, and I hope the viewers also enjoyed. Please, if you have any doubts and any queries, go to Harsh social media profile, or you can directly DM us also for any queries we solve. Okay, and hope you enjoyed. Thank you. See you at next weekend.
And okay,
Yeah,
thank you for having me here. And all the crap that I told you on call. So yeah, hopefully like we will be in touch with other social media platforms. And I usually try to answer people as soon as I can, like once I'm free with my work. So yeah, really looking forward to network with you all, and have a nice weekend and enjoy your sleep and hacking everything. So bye everybody, bye NJAY, and it's meet someday again.
yeah. Thank you, Harsh. Bye.